A strange mystery is stumping the internet right now. What the hell is moving this water? So a video coming out of a rural farm in India has gone viral this week, showing this water in a well recently built by the farmer seemingly moving in isolation of everything else. And no one currently knows why or how. I mean, it's to the point where local authorities have sent a specialized research team to investigate what's going on. Now, we do know that it's not an earthquake because authorities have confirmed that zero seismic activity has been recorded in that region, but other geologists have presented theories such as trapped air beneath the surface, or even the process of underground recharge, or aliens. But as of right now, it's all guesses because no one knows.
So a well in rural India won't stop rippling, and naturally the internet has gone straight to aliens. The district's own geology team already answered it, but that's not good enough for some people apparently.
These are 4 animals you didn't know are secretly best friends. Firstly, boxer crabs team up with an enemy by turning them into boxing gloves, putting one anemone over each claw. Then every time the boxer crab punches, it comes with an extra sting, while the anemone gets carried around quicker and also gets some free food. Next, the cleaner rats are basically dentists for predators, swimming in the mouths of dangerous animals like groupers, eels, or sharks. But instead of getting eaten, the predator will open its mouth, letting the fish inside to eat parasites and dead skin from their teeth or gills, giving the fish food and keeping the predator healthy. Even crazier, tarantulas and frogs can sometimes live together. Even though a tarantula could easily eat a frog, it lets it live. Because when a tarantula lays eggs, it often gets attacked by bugs. And since frogs are experts at catching them, the tarantula will help defend the frog from larger predators, while the frog helps defend the eggs from small bugs. But the most insane, pistol shrimp use goby fish like security cameras. Pistol shrimp have terrible eyesight, but are good at building burrows. So while the shrimp builds, the goby fish watches for predators as the shrimp keeps one antenna touching it. If danger gets too close, the goby flicks its tail, signaling both of them to dive underground, surviving together.
Nature working better together than we as a species could never quite fully achieve before we start conflict. A sad reality, that one.
Watch this.
Alrighty. Well, back to the trail. We go back to the trail. Going back to the trail, back to the trail, back to the trail. Hey bear! Hey bear! Whoa bear! Hey bear! Whoa bear! Hey bear! Whoa bear!
This national park actually has one of the most concentrated numbers of brown bears in any area for a park. So this happening right here is not some random surprise. Like, it's not like he just randomly happened to see a bear that no one ever sees. This park is known for having a ton of bears. So if you go hiking here by yourself, like if you go on a solo hike, it's kind of taking your life into your own hands. Like, you are taking a risk by doing any type of solo walk. Because in bear territory, one of the best ways that you can kind of deter bears away from you is, one, if you're in a group, all huddle together and make yourself look big. So like everyone kind of get together so you don't look like just one single person, you look like one big mob of people. That usually deters bears a lot quicker than when a person's just standing there alone. And also, if you see a bear like this, turning and running is one of the worst things you can do, because it just has this instinct that if it's the bear sees a prey that is running away, it's just an instinct that says, I need to go catch that prey.
Solid advice this. To be fair, he isn't overselling it. The bear couldn't care less whether you exist. It comes after you because you ran, and prey runs.
This is the case with these people that they're in these indigenous tribes. When you were saying that money gets introduced and ruins it, have you seen it like affect?
Immediately. It talks about my experience with the Achwar tribe, which is the very last indigenous culture to be introduced to what we'd call industrialized cultures. And the way in which money inserted itself first as an abstract concept was boxed apple juices in the missionary schools that were set up there. And boxed apple juice suddenly disrupted the entire 40,000 year history of provision and abundance that forest has supplied those peoples. And this high fructose corn syrup in a box was all those children and ultimately their parents needed to taste to suddenly break their relationship to nature. Today they consider themselves impoverished. They are working to try to get gas for their outdoor motors that they never used. They are trying to get more artificial food in and everything else. And so they've got smartphones in the jungle now. And so it just took 30 years to abstract culture. And this was a culture that had never known poverty, had never known shortage.
Yup, completely totaled after a child tasted something sweeter than the forest provides, and now they have got smartphones and a shiny new sense of lacking. That's how it is done now, isn't it? You don't conquer a place anymore, you introduce it to a shop. Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is NEXOR. My job is to take you down the rabbit hole and find the thread which sits in amongst all the noise and static, extract it and practice onto something along the way. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, you're going to enjoy the rest of it because, well, that's all we've got left in store for you. It's the same rhythm, different chords. Do me a favor, drop a sub on the video now if you're actually enjoying it, because I'll be asking you again later on. It just saves a bit of time. We're looking to hit 200,000 subscribers by September 1st. We're truly on our way to that, but enough of me. Let's crack on. Something is screaming pareidolia at me for this one. What do you think?
Watch me apply SPF under LED UV light. When applying sunscreen, it is important to cover your whole face and neck. Here are some of the places you might have missed out. Close to the hairline area, around the eyes, lips. Don't forget them ears. And lastly, your neck. Reapplying SPF every 2 hours.
But if you're going to do it, make sure it's organic. I don't need to caveat this clip with any warnings. In fact, I can't. Mosquito opened up under the lens, still carrying a full meal from someone it siphoned. An apology is needed for anyone eating and or a little squeamish for that one. The bus, the trays, the corridors, schools and prisons run off of one cheap template. Less conspiracy, more what you get when the government orders buildings by the 100. A massive thank you to everyone that you see on screen right here, because they went out of their way, their own back pocket, to finance what I do here, and it means I get to do this every single day. It really does help with offsetting some of the production costs of putting these episodes together, the research, the curation of the episodes themselves, the lighting, the camera, everything else, the electricity bill, the internet bill, you name it. There's a bill for everything involved in making these episodes, and this really does genuinely help, so thank you. If you want to join them, I'm not asking you to, I'm just telling you there is a way to do it, and that is by the link in the description below. Other than that, thank you so much. Let's crack on with the rest of this episode. And rice will never not be a staple commodity in our world, and if, when it is, then that's the time to start panicking.
Click on that, Jamie. You heard about this before?
The Bible takes place in a very small area, basically the Holy Land and a little bit of Egypt, right? But some of the oldest writings in the Bible, whoever was writing them knew about ancient Egypt during the time that Moses would have existed, which is 1400 to 1300 BC. Some of the oldest parts of the Bible. Every single detail that they lay out as to how the Egyptian world worked, the way that they constructed their buildings, the type of mud bricks that they used. They even talk about the exact stools that women would sit on, exactly how they're designed when they were giving birth. There's like a lot of little details which we call internal evidence. When it describes what was going on in Egypt, could have only been written by somebody who was living there at exactly the same time.
I don't follow the Bible myself, but the argument here is stronger than people credit. Whoever wrote those passages knew the mud brick, the birthing stools, the everyday texture of Egypt, the kind of detail you don't get from a distance or second hand. Doesn't make it holy writ, but it does bring a whole lot of other questions forward about timescales.
In the moonlight, my honey, I know.
But first, it might be difficult to connect the two photos in this slideshow, but they are very much related in a horrifying way. The first image in this slideshow is of a smiling scientist by the name of Emily Zhao Main, a 24-year-old, and the second image shows a brain scan of an unfortunate person with a prion disease. Back in May of 2010, Emily was working in a lab when she accidentally pricked her thumb on a pair of forceps that contained brain matter of mice infected with a prion disease. For those that need a reminder, prions are misfolded proteins. This is an irreversible progressive condition that causes holes to form in your brain, making it look like a sponge. Without knowing it, Emily had been infected by the prion, but the incubation period can be extremely long, so she had no idea. That is until 2017 when she started exhibiting neurological symptoms. 2 years later, she was finally diagnosed for CJD, the prion disease, and then 3 months after the diagnosis, she would pass away.
Yeah, that was grim. A prick of the thumb at work, and years later it takes her, and far too young as well.
So, why does everybody keep saying Jesus was white? During the Renaissance, we repainted the images to look like us. We couldn't keep the old ones if we wanted to rule the people we conquered. So, we lied? Wouldn't that lie affect us too? So we've all been fed a white lie? Yep, everyone now worshipping Caesar Borgia.
You know what? That's a good question. Why is everybody saying that, actually? Shut up! Now, I'm not sure what they were talking about in this show, but this has nothing to do with them being friends. I mean, they all friends. Shut up! I never seen an episode before. Why is that? Why is that? Because I never seen this before. Something is going on in this show, and they're talking about things that could possibly be true. This used to be my favorite show. Friends. I barely got friends now. Shut up! I barely got them. And if I do, most of them were fake. Allegedly. But if you ask them, it was real as can be. But it's funny they would say that because I've been hearing a lot about that, actually. Right? People are saying that he wasn't light-skinned. Shut up! This is what people are saying. Somebody in Russia said something like that too, remember? Not just playing around, guys. Entertainment purposes only. These people were just playing around. They were just talking about something they shouldn't have been talking about because they're friends. They should have been talking about friend things that they had going on, like what they was about to do for the night. Not sure where that episode came from. Never seen it before. Let me know if you've seen it before, and let me know if you believe that because I kind of do. I'm out.
Right, two very different things tangled into one here. Yes, Renaissance painters handed us a very European Jesus, and that part is just art history. No, the face was not modeled on Cesare Borgia as an old internet myth, and whatever he reckons friends was slipping him, it wasn't. It's not even a conspiracy, this one. Jesus wasn't white, but he wasn't black either.
Orca headbutts a sunfish so hard it explodes.
So this is a newly documented behavior. Just in the last maybe 6 months, they've found that orcas will literally explode fish from impact. Boom, turns into pieces. Whether it's a game or what, but this is not the first time they're doing this. They're starting to just explode these fish just because.
How are they doing that? Like, how fast are they going? I would have never imagined that that would actually be possible. They literally turn to dust.
I think those are the orca. It's like, we're bored, let's explode it.
Orcas working out they can burst a sunfish purely for the fun of it. Unsettling, yet somehow extremely interesting.
In the history of time, nobody has been able to force their brain to sleep. So here are the steps you want to take in the middle of the night to be able to solve this issue. It's called 4-7-8 breathing, and it's super simple. I'm gonna get you to try it. So go ahead and sit up straight. And so all you're gonna do is breathe in for a count of 4, you're gonna hold for a count of 7, and you're gonna breathe out for a count of 8. I want you to have your eyes closed. You're gonna go in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then what I also want you to do is picture the number in your head. So when I say breathe in, 2, 3, 4, you should picture the 2, the 3, the 4 in your mind's eye. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Push 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get through about 20 cycles of that. It's incredibly relaxing.
Why does it work? What's going on in my physiology?
You're distracting the brain from the thing that's stressing you out, and it's lowering your heart rate, and then the natural sleep process comes in.
4 in, 7 hold, 8 out, and it does actually work because you hand your brain a boring counting job instead of leaving it free to run the 3 in the morning spiral of everything you have ever got wrong. It's basically a reinvented, more convoluted counting sheep tactic.
Here are some maps that are going to change your perspective. This map shows the life expectancy across America, and you can see that the South specifically actually lives shorter lives than most of the rest of the country. This map shows where most US adults don't get enough sleep, and the South again is not getting enough sleep compared to the rest of the country, and probably contributes to the life expectancy as well. And this is the obesity map of America, where you could see a lot of the South has similar issues here. This is the percentage of households in the United States that have at least one air conditioner, and I'm sorry to the 4% of people in Florida who do not have an air conditioner, because as a Florida man I could not imagine. 7% in Alaska feels crazy, but I mean, it it is cold up there. So this map shows the average adoption rate of air conditioning by country, with 90% of the United States having air conditioning, only 16% in Mexico. And then Europe, I mean, I have definitely been hearing about these heat waves out here at Cannes and France and all this, and wow, that's crazy. We've got it good here in the US.
By now, we all know how these maps go. The South runs hot, poor, and old, apparently.
So this 20-year-old kid stole a bus one day, and even though he had no idea how to drive, he did it to save people's lives. Back in 2005, Jabbar Gibson was living with his family in the projects in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina hit. For 2 entire days, they had no choice but to just sit and wait without food or power as the deadly wind kept ripping apart their buildings. When it finally became obvious that no one was coming to save them and many of the nearby neighborhoods were already completely submerged in floodwater, Jabbar desperately went out looking for help, and by some miracle, he actually came across this barn full of abandoned school buses. So even though he had never even driven a car before, in his own words, I learned right then and there. But as he was frantically loading everyone back home onto his bus, some cops arrived and actually demanded that he hand over the stolen keys. It was only when Jabbar's mom convinced them of the fact that they would die without that bus that the officers just told them to get out of the area as soon as they could. Over the next 13 hours, Jabbar drove basically without brakes, and even though his bus was already packed, he stopped several times to pick up people stranded by the side of the road since he just couldn't leave them behind. Their bus even ended up being one of the first to make it to the Astrodome safe haven, but since Jabbar and his group weren't supposed to be there, officials actually refused to let them in at first until they basically begged them to. Since Jabbar ended up saving around 70 people that day, he was never punished for driving the bus. Although he did struggle a lot with drugs, later on in his life, he's still a legend in New Orleans to this day.
I think I'm just going to leave that one there because as nice as this story is, like everything that came out of Katrina, it's layered. So very, very layered. Mostly tragic, but my goodness, so much happened.
I don't know why no one is talking about this, but Earth's greatest catastrophes seem to be following a mysterious cycle. So when is the next one? An NYU geologist went through 89 of the worst things that have ever happened to our planet. He then plotted them out on a timeline to see what they had in common. Now, the possibility that Earth's geological history follows what they call a long rhythm has been debated for decades, where mass extinctions or major geological events might recur at regular intervals. His timeline reveals a pattern that shows a cycle of these disasters approximately every 27.5 million years, with a weaker cycle every 8.9 million. And whether this is due to processes deep inside our planet or even due to our solar system's orbit across the galactic plane does remain a mystery, but if this cycle turns out to be true, we're about 20 million years off from the next major disaster.
So a geologist plots the planet's worst days on a timeline and reckons they land on a rhythm, one roughly every 20 odd million years. But I'll save you the worry, we are about 20 million years off the next one.
I just found out this guy tried to kill a fly and ended up blowing up his house. He was just about to sit down for dinner when he spotted a fly, but it annoyed him so much that he picked up his fly swatter and started swinging at it. But this was an electric fly swatter. You know, those that make a tiny electrical spark when you hit a fly, which is definitely not enough energy to blow the roof off your house. But what he didn't know was that a gas canister was leaking inside his house. So that tiny spark from the fly swatter ignited the gas. It's the same reason Brainiac was able to blow up this caravan by igniting petrol vapor with just a tiny static spark.
The odds of this happening is slim but not impossible apparently. That's some rotten luck.
What happens if we discover the universe has always existed? Because it might have. We know there's a thing called the Big Bang, but it might have been something that happened in a pre-existing universe. Maybe that's eternal. What does that mean for your sort of picture of a creator? Does it? I don't know. I was asking. It's a genuine question.
Right.
How would you? And they really didn't. They thought it was a cool question and didn't have an answer, right? But it is. I think that idea that. It's a question to you actually. Are we more comfortable with the universe that began, or would we be more comfortable with the universe that had always existed?
I like that he just sat in the question instead of forcing an answer. Did the Big Bang start it all, or did it happen inside something already here? Nobody knows, and the honest ones actually admit that.
This becomes this North Korean's least mature reaction ever. South Korean soldier routine facing off North Korean at the DMZ.
Why do you think this guy is standing halfway behind the wall? What is that accomplishing?
Why?
That makes no sense.
Why is his stance so wide?
Why? That's hilarious. I mean, I assume like they are constantly having to show off their like powers and show off their like attitude, you know? I mean, that must be really tired. Like having to try to flex all the time. That must be really tired. From the side, he looks like he's peeing. Imagine that you're peeing on the wall. Actually, that's his routine. Just go on there in the North Korean side of the DMZ and just like take a number one.
Good grief, that stance. Half a man behind a wall like he's playing hide and seek with a whole board of his theatre, to be fair. Both sides posing for cameras that never stop. We laugh at their show and forget we are actually watching ours.
The human body under a microscope.
It all looks like alien terrain, doesn't it? We live in this world, but actually don't ever get to see even a few percentile of it.
There was a time when visitors could actually climb the Temple of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza and even step inside, getting the rare chance to see the ancient Chacmool and Jaguar up close.
Now it is rope, glass, and a long queue. I get the preservation argument, but somewhere along the line, I suppose, our own history became a thing we are only allowed to look at for many, many different reasons.
When you were deployed, did you see anything? Because there's a lot of stories of like people seeing,
yeah,
like, especially in the remote desert.
My team sergeant, when I was on 7-5, he was a real strong Christian. They were having lots of firefights in this town. It was just chaos. But every night he'd go up on the roof and pray. This one night he went up on the roof and then this dust devil just starts. And he said it was literally like a tornado of sand just around him. And he starts hearing like it was a pig getting slaughtered, just screaming out in the village. And he just feels this dark presence. So he just keeps praying, professing the name of Jesus. And he said the sand just stopped, the screaming stopped. And he said after that, like the firefight stopped. It was a completely different environment going out in the town.
Holy cow.
There's lots of stories of people like having experiences and seeing things and just divine protection.
Story aside, I'm getting a little more philosophical here. I find it interesting that Christian tradition has this just war theory, which argues that killing in combat to protect the innocent is morally distinct from the sin of murder, which, interestingly, was not explicitly a part of the earliest original Christian movement, but added later on. So, off the back of that, any Christians, particularly Christian vets watching, want to jump in and walk me through how this works? Morally, this is a genuine question out of curiosity only, nothing else.
Hey, are you in here?
So they heard what sounds like a woman's muffled cries coming from inside of a utility closet. Police search a couple rooms and find nothing, and then that's it. If you haven't seen the video, it was filmed by residents that live in the Empire City's M Tower building, which is a mixed-use complex in Malaysia. And by mixed use, I mean that some of the rooms are available for short-term rental, some are used as office space, and some have actual residents that live there. Well, the residents who filmed this and posted it to social media said that they had heard banging noises and what sounded like a woman crying coming from the utility closet on the 23rd floor. Maintenance at the building said they believed the sound was coming from the pipes, which is something called water hammering, but experienced plumbers are even leaving comments saying that there's no way that's the case. So police were called to investigate. They checked some nearby units, found nothing, and the noises have since completely stopped. And now the residents who heard this are calling for a more thorough investigation to be done because, like this commenter said, the sound may have stopped because the woman was moved, or even worse. What do you guys think?
I am torn. I'm torn between this being a staged viral internet story like most are, or this being something genuinely dark. I'm voting for the former. Again, I ask the question I always ask when I see this kind of technology, who is this for?
One of the hardest crops to grow on this planet is taro. Taro was actually supposed to replace sugar, not really for its taste, but for how it was grown. In the 1800s, sugar became something that almost anyone could get their hands on. That's why plantations in the Pacific colonies needed a replacement crop. So they started growing taro because it grew in horrible soil, but no one wanted to work in the fields that taro grew in. So they did something called blackbirding. They kidnapped islanders to farm taro in places like Australia and Fiji, but entire groups of people would die within months. If you cook taro, it tastes kind of like a coconut mixed with a potato. And if you don't cook it, it'll probably kill you. That's probably why they believe taro fields would replace sugar, which is pretty insane.
The taste test chatter is neither here nor there. The part that actually lands hard is buried halfway through, that they kidnapped islanders to work these fields and lost them by the boatload. We remember the sugar roots and forget how the crop got picked in the first place.
This is what men look like over the last 100 years. In the 1910s, I guess everybody looked like the Monopoly men. 1920s, you got the Gatsby look going on with the sleek back hair, but keep it nice and tight. 1930s, getting ready for the war, looks like you're about to swindle people out of their money. The 40s, sent off to war, everyone's looking like the sailor. 1950s, so you get that little like Elvis look. Going to the 60s, so we're going to see the hippie era now, which is actually a pretty cool look. Don't mind that too much. Into the 70s, and this guy looks like Jesus. Not sure what this era was defined by too much. Into the 80s, so I kind of like this look, but he looks a little like Christian Bale from American Psycho. Going into the 90s, so you're going to see very Kurt Cobain, the rock and roll. Okay, into the 2000s, so the turn of the millennium. Looks like Freddie Prinze Jr., some rom-com star. Then finally, the 2010s. He looks like Jesus again, or Jason Momoa.
Every decade is just the one before it with different hair, right down to Jesus again by 2010. This has always been the way, repeated throughout human history. Trends are just a set of things agreed upon silently.
I'm sorry, but this does not look like fun.
Ho, ho, ho. Typically, I would not be covering a video like this because it's very laid back and there's not a lot going on, but I got tagged in this many times, so let's do it. The perspective of this video is very hard to understand at first, which is why I think people tagged me. We can see a bunch of wind and rain hitting these people, and it's really difficult at first to tell what they're on. Getting right into it though, this video was recorded in Sumidero Canyon, located in Mexico. The beautiful Grijalva River goes through it, and you have cliff sides that rise thousands of feet up from the water itself, roughly 3,000 feet in many spots. Because of this, there are lots of tour boats that you can book to explore the river and see all of the beautiful views. So what we're looking at here is merely a bunch of people on a rainy day traveling at a very high rate of speed on one of these speedboats and looking at the river and the basin and the canyon.
Looks like a roller coaster straight out of hell, but it is a boat tour in the rain. I find it funny how a bit of context turns a nightmare claim back into the reality of what really happened, thankfully.
This is the one that might explain everything. UFOs, the pyramids, underground cities, lost civilizations. What if these are all pieces of the same puzzle? It's called the Breakaway civilization theory, and it proposes that our civilization might not be the first. Nearly 13,000 years ago, Earth entered the Younger Dryas, a period of sudden and dramatic climate upheaval. Some researchers connect this to the event of the Great Flood, remembered in ancient traditions around the world. According to the theory, this catastrophe destroyed an advanced civilization that may have existed before the last ice age. It wiped almost everything off the map and forced humanity into a reset. But the theory also suggests that not everyone started over in the Stone Age, and that a small group of people escaped underground beneath the oceans or into isolated regions of the planet, carrying their science and technology with them. And while survivors on the surface were rebuilding civilization over thousands of years, this hidden society never stopped developing or advancing. And millennia later, its technology could be so far beyond our own that we would mistake it for something alien. Think of all the cases that people have reported of human-looking UFO occupants, strange ancient symbols reported during modern encounters, and why the phenomena seems to have monitored and perhaps influenced humanity throughout recorded history. Maybe whoever these beings aren't visiting Earth. Maybe they're actually from here. Now, you might think this is impossible. How could a small group of people survive an ancient cataclysm, disappear from the surface, and keep advancing unseen for thousands of years? Where's the evidence? Well, what if contact with this advanced ancient civilization has already happened in modern times, and has created its own new breakaway civilization from our own? Think about the stories surrounding things like Operation High Jump. Roswell, and Eisenhower's alleged meeting with human-looking beings in the 1950s. What if these were the moments when modern governments discovered or established contact with this ancient civilization that disappeared? And remember when former HUD Assistant Secretary Catherine Austin Fitts recently claimed that roughly $21 trillion was secretly siphoned from the economy to help fund an enormous hidden infrastructure? Saying that there are possibly dozens and dozens of secret underground and undersea facilities connected by advanced transportation systems and operated by a clandestine group with technology that far exceeds what the public knows to exist. Now, perhaps those facilities are meant for continuity of government in case of a disaster, but what if contact with this first breakaway civilization revealed something else, that another global catastrophe is coming? And just like 13,000 years ago, a small group could be preparing to disappear underground to save themselves, while the rest of us are left behind again.
Okay, that is a lot of theory in one breath, so let me split it. The old half, an advanced civilization wiped by a cataclysm 13,000 years ago and the survivors starting again from nothing. I genuinely do entertain that. We keep digging up these things with no business being as old as they are. Where did all that knowledge go? It is the bolt-on I get off at, you know? Those survivors becoming the aliens, bases under the sea, trillions siphoned to build it. Same disclosure story, older coat, take the buried history seriously and clock the exact moment it turns into narrative.
People are saying that LeBron James is dodging the collection. People are saying that this guy's coming to collect, allegedly. Something is up, guys. For real, with James. Both James. Something is going on, bro. For real. LeBron went to Philly. People are saying this is his last year, allegedly. Could it be that LeBron is dodging the collection? People are saying he wants to retire, but he can't. People are saying everything comes with a price. And sometimes people don't even care if it comes with a price, as long as the price is right. Remember? Both James been acting very strange. And this James is at every single game. Oh yeah, you don't get it. Shut up! You don't get it. Something's going on here, guys. LeBron James seems worried. He's been acting different. He went to Philly, right? Who else went to Philly? Who else was from Philly? Kobe, allegedly. This is what people are saying. I don't know where people are from. I know where I'm from. But of course, guys, entertainment purposes only. Number 23. 2 plus 3. 5. Plus 1. 6. 2 times 3. 6. Shh, don't you even say it. Anything could pop off this year. Let me know if you know what's going to pop off this year. Shout out to LeBron James for going to Philly. I'm out.
And we finish on numerology because naturally we do. LeBron is fine, Kobe is resting, and there really isn't much more to it. Add up a shirt number, spook yourself, ignore everything that actually touches your life and hyper-focus on the stuff that doesn't. That's the pattern you should be paying attention to. But on that note, that is us at the end of another one. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, drop a like on the video. Let me know what you did enjoy. If you're new here, I hope I earned your subscription. Make sure you hit that notification bell on your way through. But most importantly, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.